I'm Clay Newman. This is the Zoo Review. Today we're going to be talking about a real silly bitch, the American white pelican. These birds are thick. They got mostly white feathers with black ones under the wings. You can really only see them when they're flying around. And their stubby little legs and big ass beak are both orange. Now, they are super clumsy on land, which does earn you Adorableness points, but they got a couple things going against them in this category as well. First off, the males during breeding season grow a orange lump on the top of their beak, which is technically called a horn, but we all know it's a lump. Also, the chicks are gross. They're little uncooked chicken nuggets for the first week or so. They don't even grow feathers till about 10 days old, and they have to eat by digging regurgitated food out of their parents' pouch. You just gotta dig in there. That's not gonna earn you any adorable points. They got droopy necks and tired eyes, kind of look like they just won the Biggest Loser, but we all know from Finding Nemo that they have sexy Australian accents. So in this category, I'm gonna give them a score of 12. Now, these are large animals. They stand at about 4 feet tall, and they have a wingspan of up to 9 feet, but birds aren't especially heavy, and they really only weigh in at about 20 pounds. They can eat up to 4 pounds a day, so they are scary if you're a fish, and frankly, other than the occasional shark, adults don't have too many predators, but they suck at protecting their babies from being eaten. Infants have a huge mortality rate in the white pelican community, and that's because foxes, coyotes, they'll just pick them off. The adults will try to fight them, but they'll hurt themselves with their stupid, awkward beak. As far as badassness goes, they're pretty low on the list. They really, unless they're going to fly into you accidentally, they're not going to do too much damage. They get a score of 6. These bad boys have a couple things going for them in the intelligence department that a lot of birds have. First off, they're smart enough to soar. Even with their big old bodies, they expend very little energy because they can really work those air currents to get up to great heights and not have to flap hardly at all. They travel long distances in flocks, sometimes up to 200 pelicans deep, and they take the cues from the birds in front of it. Those V-shapes, you'll see they're flapping at almost the exact same time. Pretty social in general, they nest in colonies, and those colonies can have up to 5,000 breeding pairs in them. It seems chaotic, but there's actually many sub-colonies within them, and scientists think there's a pretty distinct hierarchy between pelicans. They breed in inland wetlands, sometimes as deep into the country as the Great Plains, and they're smart enough to go back to the same spots. Some nesting areas have been used by white pelicans for hundreds of years. One thing that earns them a lot of intelligence points is they've been seen hunting in groups. That is a rare thing in the bird community. They form a line and drive fish, usually towards the shore, but sometimes even to other pelicans. They are serially monogamous, which I know in people means you have dependency issues, but in birds, it means they mate for one partner once a year, and that's a pretty good system. In this category, as far as intelligence goes, they're not bad. I'm going to give them 14 points. As you can imagine, the American white pelican has the world's most spacious beak. That gular pouch could hold 3 gallons of water. It's not for storing food, that's a myth, and it's gross. It's for capturing food. They scoop up the water. They don't dive like brown pelicans, unfortunately. They more dabble like a duck. They scoop up the water, and kind of like a whale, they just get the water out and eat the fish, but instead of bailing, they just sort of lazily tilt their head to the side and let the water fall out. They gotta be doing something right, because the pelican family has been around for 30 million years. That's when the oldest fossils have been dated, and frankly, whenever you get to have the biggest of something, that earns you special skills points. So, in this category, they get 14. Now, even though you could find these guys across most of North America, they have a huge range. There's only about 200,000 in the wild, but that's fine, apparently. That's the right amount. They're nowhere near the endangered list, and apparently their numbers have actually been growing since the 70s. That's kind of exciting. Pelicans in general, pretty adaptable animals. They can be found on every single continent with the exception of Antarctica, and the American white pelican is especially adaptable. It can eat mostly fish, but also in certain places can survive on crawdads and salamanders alone. They are mostly migratory, but they don't need to be. They just go where the food is. Some places in SoCal and along the Gulf Coast, pelicans live there year-round. Now, they're not the crow. They're not going to be 20 points in this category, but they're doing pretty good, and they got a halfway decent chance of surviving us. In this category, they got 16 points. Well, the scores are in, and American White Pelican, look at you go! You got 62 points, which is tied for 5th place with the Western Lowland Gorilla. You are the 2nd best bird, by the way, only behind the American Crow. Apparently, I'm a bit of a nationalist when it comes to my bird selection. Thank you guys again for tuning in. As always, I appreciate the support, and we'll be back before too long with some more animal reviews.